Gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Noem, for being here with us today and for your testimony and your leadership and that of all the men and women that you serve with as well in the Department of Homeland Security. Like you, I come from a border state, and though the northern and southern borders are vastly different, I know you understand firsthand the challenges that our communities at the border face, as well as the value that they bring also to our states and our region. The security that this administration has been able to deliver to our southern border is, in such a short period of time, is astounding and so well appreciated by those who live and work in these communities. I know I hear it all the time. This is the number one feedback I get from my constituents regarding the results that we've seen from this administration, and your leadership has played a key role in that, so thank you. In the district that I represent, which is much of the Tucson sector of Border Patrol, we have historically seen high numbers of gotaways. I understand there have been around 65,000 gotaways this fiscal year. What resources or what resource investments for both technology and infrastructure are you planning to make, and how those will be reduced in numbers for the future? The gotaways, of course, are troubling. We've seen a lot of the reported numbers come down, but these gotaways, that's I know it's a key issue for you as well, and a focus. So on that, and then particularly, could you speak onto the technology that we'll be using in these rough terrain areas like Southern Arizona, which is so different from other border areas, including my friends in Texas. When you go to Arizona, it's just broad terrain, rough, some areas, hard to even build any kind of barrier or wall. So technology plays a big role there. Can you speak to that?
Yes, thank you so much for talking about the fact that as we've secured our border and as we've addressed the challenges and in the areas of the southern border and northern border where we saw a lot of folks crossing illegally, and we've put more resources in those areas or what was necessary to really follow our federal law and keep American people safe. We've seen that some of the traffic has pushed to other areas, maybe areas that weren't well-traveled before, and now gotaways are trying to take advantage of that. They also have pushed heavily towards the maritime borders and out into the waters. The Coast Guard is seeing much more traffic. They're also seeing the cartel activity out there of trafficking of drugs and human beings and technologies that they're having a difficult time keeping up with. The Coast Guard has been neglected for many, many years, and they don't have the airframe, and they don't have the cutters to keep up and even to manage and maintain the horsepower needs that they have to catch and interdict some of the smuggling activities that are going on. You referenced some of the rough terrain and what we need to do as far as CBP and investment on this border. Frankly, we're going to use the latest and greatest technology that would be available to us as far as surveillance equipment, cameras, satellite images when possible, and also the Aerostar, like Congressman Cuellar was talking about, some of those technologies in areas to help those vulnerable areas have more eyesight to truly know what is crossing there so that we can interdict it before it comes into our country. I would talk exclusively, too, about how we've been able to diplomatically work with the country of Mexico. President Trump's strong leadership has helped Mexico be more proactive than they ever were before, too. And so in my conversations with government officials, they've indicated to me there could be as many as 500 to 600,000 illegals that never reached our border because when they got to Mexico and heard that our border was closed, they turned around and went back. So a combination of solutions is needed. You absolutely have to have a president that cares about keeping us safe. We now have that in President Trump, but also making sure that we have the people and the equipment necessary for CBP and for ICE to do their job, but then the technology which you referenced, which is needed. We have scanners that we need at ports of entry so that we can scan our shipments, our rail, and even our air freight. Much of that, we don't necessarily know what's coming in containers and small packages. Those technologies are critically important, and why you see a request in increase in funding to address those challenges that simply were neglected for too long under the Biden administration.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned the diplomatic conversations as well. I think that's something that doesn't get enough attention, right, of the power of strong leadership in the White House now and the reaction of not only Mexico, but the rest of Latin America on this. I think that's key, and we want to partner with Mexico and other countries on this. With the little time that I have left, do you mind just speaking of the morale of the agents and your efforts on recruiting and retention? I think that goes hand in hand with the technology piece as well.
Yeah, the morale of the Department of Homeland Security agencies and departments and the employees that work there is fantastic. We have incredible numbers in recruitment, people who want to be a part of the agency that are signing up and submitting applications. I referenced earlier that CBP has over 50%, I believe it's 54% increase in recruitment. ICE as well, maintaining and excelling at its recruitment efforts and getting officers and people who want to be a part of the team or coming out of retirement. We have the Coast Guard is at 108% increase of its recruitment. People that understand the mission and they want to be a part of the many different skill sets that the Coast Guard can bring to partnering with our military departments, but also going out there and helping at the border and continuing on with their search and rescue mission. And then you look at the Secret Service, because of the recruitment efforts that we've had in putting those agents back on focusing, hiring expertise, hiring experience instead of DEI programs, the Secret Service recruitment is up almost 200%. The applications we've gotten have been fantastic by telling our story and that they can be a part of an agency that protects the most powerful in the world. It truly has been inspirational. So I believe that some of the narrative that the Democrats have used to attack the Department of Homeland Security just simply isn't true. The people that are wanting to come and work for us are inspirational and they're true Americans.
Thank you for that. Chairman, I yield back.